Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. Okay, today we will discuss important articles from the Hindu newspaper 9th October. Sorry? Okay. Yes, so some of you might be giving tomorrow's attempt examination, so we would like to wish you all the best on behalf of Lukman IAS. So some points of wisdom, let me tell you that already you have prepared for the examination. So not to worry about your preparation, just trust your preparation, have faith in yourself and go with positive mindset in that examination hall and give your 100% in those 2 hours. Okay, this is the success mantra, because now you cannot change whatever you have done. So going with the positive mindset inside the classroom is very important. Okay, inside the examination hall. Fine, so best of luck. Okay. So on first page, you can see after 68 years, Tata's win back Air India with 18,000 crore bid. Okay, so as a follow-up to economy part, infrastructure, aviation sector, a very important development happened in this regard is related to acquiring this particular airline. Okay, so it was earlier public sector undertaking and now let's say it was debt ridden. Okay, so because of that, what happened here is the government was facing many losses, and through competitive bidding now again Tata company, its subsidiary, has given the competitive bid and acquired that. You should be also aware that Air India was actually initiative of Tata company itself. Then it was nationalized during 1950s. We will talk about those developments. Then India-China patrols face off in Tawang, Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so a new point of conflict emerged again. So the patrols face off. Basically, this is very common. You should be aware that since let's say many years this has been happening. This is happening because of lack of actual demarcation of LAC between India and China. Okay, so there has been different perceptions of LAC or boundary by both India and China, and that's why such kind of face-offs happens. We'll talk about that. We'll also locate where is this Tawang region, where the conflict also happened in 1962, right? So this is important from geography part also. Then Supreme Court flags consequences of growing digital divide. Okay, so this has been, let's say the Supreme Court has taken the recognition here, the education or learning losses, especially of underprivileged children who are not having any kind of access to the digital gadgets as well as affordable internet services. Okay, so because of that, the kind of, let's say, disproportionate impact on these children is happening. Now Supreme Court is saying that it is responsibility of the government to provide those gadgets and internet access to them. It is responsibility of the government because it is welfare state, social justice aspect is involved here, right? Okay, we will talk about that, what Supreme Court is saying here. Now, moving on, inside on page number 6 directly, because other articles are not that much important. Yes, grim turn editorial. So it is talking about the recent killings in Srinagar, civilian killings in Srinagar. In last 1 week, around 6 people died. Okay, so are killed by the, we can say, militants in that region. So obviously we know that it is part of our syllabus, militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so internal security part, GS3 paper, we will try to understand and take input from that aspect. There is lead article talking about reflections on quasi-federal democracy. Try to understand, after reading this article, you will not get many important points. Basically, topic is very important, but the article, what it wants to convey in, let's say, simple language, it is not mentioned. There will be many articles like this on this same topic in a simple language. We will discuss them later. But we will discuss this article also, what it wants to talk. Okay, we will try to understand what is democratic federalism, what our constitution talks about, and what the article says, like structural and operational difficulties in our democracy, federal democracy. Okay. Yes. Now, infusing public health into Indian medical education. So, it is very technical in nature. It is talking about, let's say, medical education specifically. So, that is not important. UPC will not ask about what should be there and what should be not in medical education curriculum. Okay. So, very specific in nature. So, that is why not much relevant we can say. Now, yes, directly come to page number, yes, page number 10. Page number 10, there is one article talks about air quality panel expects reduced stubble burning. Now we know that in next 1 or 2 months there will be many such articles related to air pollution. Consider this is start of these articles. Now what this air quality panel is talking about, it is talking about the change in cropping pattern observed last year or this year specifically. It is saying that the non-basmati rice and its share is, let's say, reduced. Non-basmati rice is responsible for, let's say, that straw that is remaining in the farms and that is being burned by the farmers. Basically, the crop diversification, this is the term. Okay, so crop diversification is being promoted by the government by providing some kind of support to the farmers to adopt various other crops. Along with that, the new varieties having short crop cycle, they are being promoted as a package from the government to these farmers. So, this will result into less stubble burning in this season. This is what the experts are saying. But yes, in future we will see what will happen. Okay? Yes. On page number 11, there are two important articles. One, a journalist from Philippines and Russia win Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, so this is about freedom of speech and expression, protecting freedom of speech and expression, right? And along with that, there is article Rohingya refugees to be sent to the island. Now, many a times this island is in news, Bhashan Char island of Bangladesh, where Bangladesh is relocating the Rohingyas refugees to this island. So, we will find out about this Bhashan Char island also. Okay. And then there is on business page, there is article RBI suspends, let's say, G security or government security acquisition program, GSAP, GSAP. Okay. And why? Because it says that there has been liquidity infusion in the economy sufficiently. So, this much information is sufficient. We will talk about that conceptually. Now, let us discuss these articles one by one in detail. First of all, on page number 6, grim turn, killing of civilians by militants in Kashmir Valley or Srinagar. Okay. So, yes, some factual aspects. This year, around 28 civilians killed, surpassing 22 casualties of security personnel so far this year. So, in last 6 days, 6 civilians were killed. We know about the pharmacist case, the what we can say Hindu Pandits. So, among these there were Muslims, Pandits and Sikh minority communities members also among these 6 members. Okay, so teachers in particular school, they were killed. Some of the, let's say, Muslim people were also killed. Local Muslims having some kind of, let's say, linkages with the government or administration. They feel that they are providing some information to the administration or the government against these militants. They are killing those Muslims also. Okay, so this is the situation. Let us understand what is happening there. This violence is taking place against the backdrop of upstick in tourist inflow in the valley. Okay, so tourism is now getting promoted, especially after 1 year complete lockdown in Jammu and Kashmir after reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir state in 2019. Okay, so now the government is promoting tourism, the government is promoting development in the Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, right. So, in this backdrop, these violent instances are happening. Along with that, the administration is also encouraging Pandits to return. Okay, so Kashmiri Pandits, Hindu minority in that region. So government wants these Pandits to go back to their, let's say, native places. You should remember that during 1990s, huge violence erupted wherein the Pandits, some kind of, let's say, ethnic cleansing type of thing happened, where the Hindu Pandits were completely evicted from the valley. Okay, Kashmir Valley. So now the government wants this to return to the Kashmir. At the same time, 9-week long outreach of central government in Jammu and Kashmir, where union ministers are visiting remote districts in Jammu and Kashmir to create a positive perception. Do you remember the kind of question asked this year in mains examination? GS3 paper, security part. What measures are required to cut off the local support to militancy in Jammu and Kashmir? And it also talked about the measures required for creating a positive perception toward the government. So this is what the government is doing, development schemes. That economic development it is talking, promoting. Then we can say that encouraging Pandits to go back. At the same time, outreach program. You should write such things in your answer. So what should be done? So the politicians or the government should directly meet people to create positive perception, give some kind of assurances to them. There is also higher level of intolerance by the administration, which does not spare even the political activities of mainstream parties. There is an aggressive drive to punish government staff suspected to be separatist sympathizers. We know that the present government is to some extent centralizing the administration in Jammu and Kashmir. Especially when it is declared union territory means what? Centralization of power happened, right, largely, and to some extent it wants to eliminate any kind of separatist sympathizers in the administration also. This will weaken administration, right? So because of that, the present government is taking such measures in the administration. Now, in the end, the article says that while pursuing the terrorist, the administration should also engage with political parties and civil society organizations. This is very important. Political parties in that region, basically they are representatives of those people. They are representatives of those people. Unless and until the central government do not take into consideration or confidence these local political parties, how central government wish to administer this union territory? Okay, so major thing we should understand that they should be taken into confidence. And then third thing we can say that civil society organization. Why civil society organization? Because they are actually in contact with the local people. They are working with the people. Try to understand, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they still consider the government as alien power, foreign dictators, or let's say foreign government. So basically this is the problem, and now after reorganization some kind of, let's say, this perception strengthened. Okay, so it is responsibility of the government to remain connected with people either through political parties, local political parties, and we can say that also civil society organizations. At the same time, there are, let's say, many things you can write, like for example, let's say skill development programs for youth. This will help to, let's say, any kind of youth getting recruited in militancy, right? So giving them sustainable employment opportunity, livelihood opportunities, recruit them in armed forces, police forces, right? So this can be done, and this is the positive approach actually to reduce the violence in that. Okay, so armed forces directly, let's say, patrolling these areas is not at all long-term solution for peace. Try to understand, working with the people is the long-term solution. Considering their aspirations of local people is the long-term solution. Okay, any question?
Well, most of the countries are facing some of the people having their roots in terrorist activities. That is the most drawback in so many countries are facing. Some of the people having their roots are going to be infertile. They are going to be continuously growing their generations by the transferring of their knowledge. Then it is a spy system, sir. It is a major drawback to every nation, sir, to how we can able to handle this one.
See, again, try to understand, since independence itself, Jammu and Kashmir is facing problem. Okay, because of lack of clarity. Lack of clarity. Okay, so be it in terms of international forums recognizing this particular area of, let's say, Pakistan or India, or let's say conflicting claims of both countries. Simply, this is the problem. Along with that, we should understand that there is some kind of religious diversity or ethnic diversity in the state. Okay, so we know that the Kashmir Valley, where the Muslim population is majority, while Jammu, there we can say the mix of population, and then we see that Ladakh region, there is Buddhist culture, different kind of culture is there. Okay, so administration, it has a different kind of difficulties in that region, and this particular situation is exploited by the extremists. Okay, and these extremists, to some extent, they are supported by the neighboring country. Okay, so how they are supporting? Let's say the propaganda is there, the finances is there, then the arms is there. Okay, so religious indoctrination, we call it as, right? So this is what is happening in that region. So unless and until they are taken into confidence and, let's say, assured that they are part of the country, they are important. So basically this is important for long-term peace and development stability of that region.
Infrastructure development.
Yes.
They have to take their local ecology system also.
Yes. So that's why we are talking about, let's say, you should mention about the Pashmina. Earlier we talked about that as local skill development, right? So for that purpose, or you can talk about tourism. We know that tourism, so be it, let's say, religious tourism, adventure tourism, so they are very famous there, right? So that can be promoted. This is sustainable source for the locals actually. Okay, and this is not harmful to the local ecology. Okay, so this should be promoted in that region as a long-term solution. Okay. Yes. Now, reflections on quasi-federal democracy. So this particular article is talking about the federal nature of Indian polity. It is quasi-federal. Now, what is quasi-federal? This was the term which was said by the political theorist Okay, so quasi-federal means you should understand that it is not strict federation like USA. Okay, strict federation means the differentiation in the powers of central and federal, let's say, we can say, or the states. It is very much fixed in the constitution. Okay, so watertight separation of powers, we can say that. Not separation of power, sorry, division of power, appropriate word is. Okay, what is the difference between these two? Division of powers and separation of powers?
Division, it is, we have equal powers, and center also have equal opportunity, and center also have its own power. But in other way, it's only about center being powered by state.
No. Separation of powers. Separation of power, this particular principle in polity is related to three arms of the states. Earlier we talked about this, separation of powers with checks and balances. Okay, which are these three arms? Yes, executive, legislation and judiciary. There is separation of powers among them. This is the concept. But division of power is between central and state government. Okay, or we can say different tiers of the government. It can be third tier also. local government, right? This is called as division of power. Actually, there should not be confusion between these two. Initially, students have confusion in this particular concept. Now, quasi-federal, as it is not strictly federal, so central government assumes more powers in India. Various provisions are there in constitution which shows that central government is more powerful. You can see that the nature of, let's say, we know that central government is given residual powers. Then we can say that emergency provisions in the constitution. Then we can say the, let's say, the position of governor in the states, and we know that how governor can, let's say, recommend president's rule in a particular state. To some extent it is having some kind of unitary bias. So quasi-federal. So states are given powers but not at par with the central government. They are less. So that's why we are saying that our quasi. However, though despite of having these provisions mentioned in the constitution, there is some kind of, let's say, operational hurdles or discrepancies in the constitution or working of the constitution. This is visible from different aspects of working of the democracy. For example, Rajya Sabha working in recent times. Now we know that Rajya Sabha is representative of states. Okay, Council of States. Rajya Sabha means Council of States, right? So it is representatives of states' interest in the parliament. However, in recent times, what we are witnessing, there are, let's say, many disruptions happening, no meaningful discussions and debate on these bills. At the same time, despite of these disruptions, the government is passing bills in the parliament. So on one hand there is productivity, but on other hand, let's say, states' interests are not fulfilled by this organ. So this is to some extent operational discrepancy, we can say. So it is there in the constitution to protect the rights of the states or interest of the states, but it is not working properly. There are other examples also, let's say, other examples you can give, IAS officers, or we can say civil servants. We know that civil servants are, these IAS officers, they are recruited by the central government. They work on the working conditions, conduct rules of the central government, but they are posted in the state cadres. They work for the state cadres, they receive salaries from the states. So what is happening, to some extent the central government is using them, or some kind of dictation of powers on the IAS officers also. Like asking them to serve the central government on tenure. You know tenure system. Okay, after some years of working in the state, IAS officers are brought back in the secretariat in the central government. Okay, so this is what is the central government is exercising powers here. Misuse to some extent. Basically, IAS is for working in the states to have some kind of uniformity of implementation of these schemes all over India, right? Uniformity of administration. So this is being violated. But in our constitution, there are some inbuilt measures. For example, 5-yearly elections are happening. Then there we can say that the independent judiciary is there to uphold the constitutional provisions. But to some extent, judiciary as an institution is also being weakened by the executive. How it is being weakened? Through delay in appointments to the higher judiciary. Recently, how CJI is talking about more than 100 recommendations have been given by the collegium in last 1 month itself, and let's say executive has not appointed even more than 10. Okay, so this is the situation, and the pendency of cases is huge. Okay, and the vacancy is very high in the high courts especially. So because of that, the judiciary is not able to uphold the rights of the people, or we can say whenever the government try to bypass the constitutional provisions, the judiciary should come to rescue. But judiciary is not working in full potential. It is being weakened as an institution. Okay, so these are the problems. So you should understand that though our constitution is quasi federal, but the states interests were provided in the constitution, their powers were provided in the constitution, but it was the responsibility of judiciary and independent constitutional, let's say, organizations, institutions. We know that which are these. Election Commission is there, UPSC is there, or we can also talk about CAG, Finance Commission. So yes, some of them are having, let's say, institutional integrity, while the others, there are some concerns related to that. Okay, so this is what the article is discussing basically. With nation building as a priority, the constitutional division of power and resources remains heavily skewed in favor of center. So why our constitution makers adopted quasi federal type of let's say constitution or polity after independence? There were many separatist tendency immediately after independence. Newly born nation was facing these threats. So the integrity and unity of the country was at stake. So that's why, to have some kind of unified control, central government was given more powers. Try to understand this. Okay, so we know our constitution makers, they let's say studied US constitution also, they studied Canadian and Australian, but we adopted Canadian model, and largely we adopted Government of India Act 1935 in terms of federal provisions. Okay, so basically you should understand that this particular reason that the new independent country, newly born country was facing these problems. We know that how princely states were integrated. What was the problem? More than 500 princely states. And we know that even after independence, how we let's say had continued struggle with separatists, be it insurgency in Northeast, or we can say the Red Corridor or Naxalist movement, militancy in Jammu and Kashmir, that now we are witnessing some kind of stability to some extent. But in initial years also we faced many problems. Okay. So in future, whenever in detail such kind of article appears related to federal provisions, federalism, working of all these provisions in India, so we will discuss that again. Now, Supreme Court flags consequences of growing digital divide. So it is talking about many children were left out of educational opportunities during this pandemic due to lack of access to these digital devices and affordable internet services. Now, Supreme Court says that it is responsibility of the government to provide these devices now also, because now also schools have not been opened completely. So now, as we can understand, the number of cases are less and the government is facing less burden, right? Up till now it was facing much burden in terms of revenue. Okay, so it had to focus on health infrastructure, health expenditure. Now Supreme Court says that the government should take responsibility of the children and their education, especially it is talking. Okay, so it is saying that it need to provide adequate computer based equipment together with access to online facilities for children is of utmost importance. Basically, there was one case filed by the Delhi government regarding, let's say, Delhi government had issued one particular order saying that private educational institutions, they should provide these digital instruments free of cost to the children, and those from the economically backward also, the 25% quota in RTE, right to education, to them also free of cost it should be provided. So these private institutions went to Delhi High Court, then Delhi High Court said that no, it is your responsibility, you can ask the government to reimburse. Okay, you can ask the government to reimburse if you are not having that, let's say it is not affordable. And now Supreme Court has also said that state government along with central government should intervene and they should reimburse. Okay, so it is part of welfare state social justice aspect. And we know that right to education is fundamental right under article. Yes. Article 21A, 86th Constitutional Amendment Act.
Sir, but in practically, some of the private institutions are going to be providing, those are paid, those will pay the institution fee, they will provide the online classes to them. Then what is the situation of that type of institutions?
Sorry, what you are saying?
Some of the institutions are providing only fees paid students only, sir. They are not giving the online link to them. What is the position of that situation of these people, sir?
Yes, actually private educational institutions, those 75%, only 25% they cannot ask the, let's say, as they are from economically weaker section, so they cannot ask for fees. There will be fees waiver. Tuition fee especially, that will be waiver, right? Remaining 75% they will ask the fees, and recently Supreme Court said that they can ask the fees from the children or their parents. Okay, so as their profit to some extent, though we can understand education is non-profit, we can say service, social sector service we can say, but obviously private institutions are providing some kind of quality services. For that purpose they require money, right? So that's why they are saying that. Yes, India-China patrols face off in Tawang. So this face off happened because of lack of, let's say, appropriate exact demarcation of LAC. Especially this problem is very much visible in eastern sector. Though we can understand western sector, the joint patrols or the patrolling is very much clear. But in Arunachal Pradesh region, there is no clarity, and we know that how China completely claims Arunachal Pradesh as part of China. Okay, remember this. So this is one of the area where the problem is always there. During 1962 war, India-China war, the Chinese army entered from this region into India. Okay, so this is the Tawang region, Tawang Plateau it is called. Okay, so a recent face off that happened in this Tawang also. Okay, this is having border with Bhutan on this side. So it is on tri-junction. It is on tri-junction, and we know that Bhutan's security is our responsibility. Okay, so just now remember this aspect. Arunachal Pradesh, we know about Arunachal Pradesh. This is the different, let's say, districts of Arunachal Pradesh, and on this West Kemang and East Kemang, these are the two districts, and this is Tawang. Okay. Now, Rohingya refugees to be sent to island. So it is many a times it is in news since last 2 years, because the decision was taken by Bangladesh government to relocate around 1 lakh people to this Bhashan Char island. These Rohingyas refugees from the concentrated Cox's Bazar. Most of these refugees are here, right? Cox's Bazar, very famous. So from this congested place, they will be relocated to this island, Bhashan Char island. Now there are some concerns raised in international organizations, or we can say human rights organization, because this particular island is not habitable. It is inhospitable weather, having we can say 60 km from mainland, and along with that we should understand it is formed by Himalayan silt. It is newly formed depositional island. What we will say that it is depositional island, not erosional island. In India, where erosional islands we observe? Erosional landforms. The island along the western coast of India, there are many such islands.
Sir, in the Gulf of Jamnagar, that Gulf we have most.
So erosion means erosion from not erosion.
See, depositional means basically it is because of deposition of either river or waves. Okay, deposition of silt that is happening. It is carrying silt, the rivers are carrying sediments, they are deposited in delta region. Over the period of let's say thousands of years, this silt is accumulated, and many a times it becomes the area which is above sea level. That becomes island. This is depositional island. But what is erosional island, or we'll say that it is not because of deposition? Along the western coast of India, there are many such islands. You may have heard about different forts, sea forts. In let's say Maharashtra, there is Sindhudurg, Vijayadurg. Such forts are there. Basically, they are located in the islands in the Arabian Sea off the coast. Okay, so they are, we can say that, separated from the mainland, right? So remember, this is depositional island, and this is because of deposition of silt brought by these Brahmaputra and Ganga river in Bangladesh. Okay, they are known, also known as Charpia, Bhashan Char, also known as Charpia island in Hatia Upazila of Bangladesh. Okay, so this is, remember the location near Chittagong, and from Cox's Bazar they are going to be relocated. Journalist from Philippines, Russia win Peace Nobel. Remember, let's say journalist from Russia and Philippines. You will not be able to remember the name. She is lady. She is the only woman up till now this year to be given Nobel Prize. Last year there were many such women were given Nobel Prizes. So Nobel Peace Prize, Maria Ressa and Dmitry Muratov. So basically they have their independent news agencies in these countries. They have promoted let's say freedom of press in that region. Those countries, these countries are actually very infamous for curbing the freedom of press, authoritarian type of government, especially during the let's say last 2-3 decades, where many journalists were killed in that region, in those countries. So they have upheld the freedom of press and freedom of speech and expression. So some good statements are written. Free and independent fact-based journalism serves to protect against abuse of power, lies and war propaganda. Also, without freedom of expression and freedom of press, it will be difficult to successfully promote fraternity between nations, disarmament and better world order to succeed our time, in our time. Fine. So just remember, will not be asked question in prelims, but yes, some trivial information is important in general from the current affairs. Now, after 68 years, Tata's win back Air India with 18,000 crore bid. Okay, so it is Tata Sons subsidiary Thales Private Limited. It had given the bid, Thales. Okay, now what will happen after the acquisition? Tata's will own 100% stake in Air India, 100% in its international low-cost arm Air India Express, and 50% in ground handling joint venture Air India SATS. So through this, Tata's will acquire the second highest or market share in the aviation. See, Tata Sons own 84% in Air Asia already, which has market share of 5.2%. 51% stake in Vistara, okay, so which has market share of 8.3%. Together with Air India's market share of 13.2%, now it will control 26.7 market share, the second biggest after Indigo. Okay, so this is important. Now you should remember, in 1932, first maiden flight of Air India was there from Karachi to Bombay. So it was piloted by JRD Tata at that time. 1946, Tata Airlines become public company, renamed Air India Limited. Earlier it was Tata Airlines, now Air India Limited. In 1948, government acquires 49% stake in the carrier. And in 1953, government nationalizes Air India. उसके बाद जो है decline शुरू हो गया. Okay, so yes, in 2007, Air India merges with Indian Airlines that operates only domestic routes. In 2012, government approves 30,000 crore bailout for India, but let's say it was not successful. Then let's say it attempted selling of 76% of stake in 2018. No bidder came forward. Last year also, let's say January 2020, government launches second attempt to offer 100% stake in Air India. And in 2020 October, government confirms that Tata Sons subsidiary Thales as winning bidder. Okay, and now the acquisition formally is completed. Okay, so sequence of events, that is not important, but just
Sir,
yes.
sir, present Indian Airlines has been taken over by the Tata Group, sir. In future, it has been running profit sector. It may
Sorry, what you are saying? Yes. You are not audible. Yes, what is the answer to this question? Bangladesh. Such kind of straightforward factual based question can be asked. Okay. Yes. Please write your question in the comment box what you are asking about that GSAP, government or G security acquisition program, GSAP. When the government wants to, or RBI wants to, not government, RBI wants to infuse the liquidity in the economy. Infuse liquidity in the economy. What it does is it acquires government securities from the market, and in return it will infuse money. Right? When it is buying government security, that means it is increasing the money supply in the market. Right? And through this, the liquidity. When there is more or excessive liquidity, then it will, yes, there will be increased inflation. And to bring down that inflation, what RBI will do regarding this?
Decrease the inflow of liquidity.
No, what will it will do to government securities?
you issue the bonds, sir.
Yes. It will issue the bonds and take the money from the market.
Yes, it will sell or acquire.
Sells.
Yes, it will sell, na?
Yes, sir.
It will sell the government securities so as to suck out the money from the economy. No? When it is selling means it is taking money out of economy, excess money. When it is acquiring these government securities that are already there in the market, that means,
So that infused word is making confusion.
okay, infuse means increasing money supply. Right? Buying back simply. Buying back government securities. That will increase money supply. Selling government securities in the market will reduce the money supply. This is important. I guess it is taught in economy part. Yes.
To control the inflation, sir.
Yes, to control the inflation, it is role of RBI, right? So one of the monetary tool, OMOs. What is OMOs? Open market operations, wherein these government bonds or government securities, their transactions happens. Gilt edge market we call it as. Okay, so you are fine with this now, that particular economy news.
Sir,
Yes.
my question has been disconnected, sir. due to
Yes, tell me.
interruption.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, Tata has purchased 100% Indian Airlines, sir. Present. Is there, it has been running profits in future, it may come back to government sector, sir.
No. Now it will not come back to government. Okay, that nationalization policy, that was, we can say, during 1970s, not now. Okay, we adopted LPG policy. Okay, and the government suddenly cannot reverse on it. This is completely breaking down of economy then. Yes, market will collapse. Private sector will not again trust government. Try to understand this. Okay, so there will not be a nationalization of any kind of such kind of organization. Basically, there will be further privatization, disinvestment. This is going to happen. Okay, in PubAD you learn about this, right? The role of the government change from the driver to the steerer, right? Okay. Okay, any other question? Fine, fine. Let us stop. And again, once again, best of luck to those who are giving examination tomorrow. We'll meet on Monday with some kind of reviews from the examination also, prelims. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.